There are moments in life when everything feels like it's collapsing, but deep down you sense something else is happening, something sacred, something intentional. What if I told you this is not random? What if the isolation, the rejection, the battles no one saw were preparing you for this exact season? You were never overlooked, you were being refined. And right now, this moment you're standing in is not an accident, it is alignment. You were set apart for this moment. The weight you could never explain. From a young age, you felt different, not better, not worse, just different. You saw through people. You felt energies shift in rooms. You questioned things others accepted without thought. It made you feel alone, like you didn't belong anywhere. But what you thought was isolation was protection. You were being preserved from becoming what you were never meant to be. The silent preparation. While others chased attention, you were tested in silence. While others blended in, you were stretched in private battles. You lost friendships, opportunities, comfort. And each loss felt unfair. But every closed door was training. Every betrayal built discernment. Every delay built endurance. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. Why you faced more than others? Have you ever wondered why your life felt harder than those around you? Why challenges seemed to find you? Why you had to mature faster, think deeper, endure longer? Because responsibility requires strength. And strength is built through pressure. The weight on your life is evidence of the capacity within you. The awakening phase. There comes a point when everything starts to make sense. You begin to see patterns, lessons, divine timing. What once broke you now strengthens you. What once confused you now clarifies your purpose. Awakening isn't loud, it's subtle. It's the moment you stop asking, "Why me?" and start understanding this is why. The loneliness of being set apart. Being chosen does not feel glamorous. It feels isolating. You outgrow conversations. You outgrow environments. You outgrow versions of yourself. People misunderstand you. Some even resent you. But separation is not rejection. It is direction. You cannot step into higher ground while clinging to what was meant for a lower level. The signs you were set apart. You feel called to something bigger, even if you can't define it. You sense injustice deeply. You can't ignore truth. You crave growth, even when it's uncomfortable. You value depth over distraction. And you feel a quiet fire inside you that refuses to die. That fire is not ego, it is purpose. Why society tries to silence you. A system built on distraction cannot tolerate awareness. A culture built on noise fears clarity. When you begin to question, to awaken, to see beyond surface-level living, you become inconvenient. So they label you dramatic, too intense, too sensitive, too much. But what they call too much is actually discernment. And discernment threatens deception. The pressure before elevation. Right before elevation, pressure increases. Right before clarity, confusion intensifies. Right before breakthrough, resistance rises. If your life feels intense right now, don't panic. Pressure reveals diamonds. And you were not created to crumble under weight. You were created to rise through it. The moment you're in now. This season may feel uncertain. You may not have all the answers. You may feel stretched between who you were and who you are becoming. That tension is transformation. You are shedding layers that no longer fit your future. And the reason it feels uncomfortable is because growth always does. Your responsibility, being set apart, is not about superiority. It is about responsibility. You are called to lead with integrity, to speak with wisdom, to act with compassion. Not to dominate, not to boast, but to illuminate. When you heal, you give others permission to heal. When you rise, you show others it is possible. The fear that tries to stop you. Fear whispers that you're not ready. Fear tells you to stay small. Fear reminds you of past failures. But fear appears strongest when you are closest to stepping into alignment. Do not confuse fear with a stop sign. Sometimes fear is simply confirmation that you are approaching something greater than your comfort zone. You were built for this. Every tear you cried strengthened you. Every night you questioned yourself sharpened your awareness. Every setback redirected you. Nothing was wasted. Even the pain had purpose. And now you stand here, stronger than you realize. This is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not one day. Now. The version of you who survived everything you thought would break you is standing at the doorway of a new level. You were set apart for this moment. Not to shrink. Not to doubt. But to step forward. The call within. Listen to that quiet voice inside you. The one that refuses to settle. The one that pushes you to grow. The one that tells you there is more. That voice is not random. It is the reminder of who you were always meant to become. And it has been waiting for you to trust it. The choice. You can ignore the calling. You can return to comfort. You can dim your light to fit in. Or you can accept that the isolation had meaning. The battles had purpose. The difference was intentional. And this moment was designed for you. If this message resonated with something deep inside you, don't brush it off. This is your confirmation to embrace who you are becoming. Like this video if you're ready to stop shrinking. Comment, "I accept my calling," if you feel this awakening in your spirit. And subscribe to Return to Awakening if you are committed to walking this path with courage and clarity. Your journey is not random. You were set apart for this moment. Now rise into it, the refining fire. There were seasons when it felt like everything was being stripped away. Relationships you depended on faded. Plans you were certain about collapsed. Doors you prayed would open stayed shut. It felt like loss. But it was refinement. Fire does not destroy gold. It removes what does not belong. And every uncomfortable season was removing what could not go where you are headed. The test of silence. There were moments you wanted to explain yourself, to defend your heart, to justify your growth, to prove your intentions. But you were led into silence, because not every misunderstanding requires correction. Silence sharpened your discernment. It strengthened your patience. It taught you that validation from people is temporary, but alignment with truth is lasting. The shift in awareness. You started noticing things others ignored. You could sense when something wasn't right. You could feel shifts before they happened. Your intuition became stronger. Not louder, just clearer. And the more you trusted it, the more you realized you were never crazy. You were aware. The breaking point. There was a moment you almost gave up. A night you questioned everything. You wondered if being different was worth the isolation. If standing firm was worth the rejection. If holding onto your values was worth the struggle. But you didn't quit. And that decision, quiet, unseen, personal, changed the trajectory of your life. The separation season. People began falling away. Not because you hated them, not because you felt superior, but because your frequency shifted. Conversations that once entertained you felt empty. Environments that once felt normal began to feel heavy. It wasn't arrogance. It was evolution. And evolution requires space. The strength you didn't know you had. You endured things no one applauded you for. Battles that left no visible scars, but reshaped your inner world. Moments when you felt completely alone, yet somehow you stood firm. That resilience wasn't accidental. It was built intentionally. You were being trained to carry weight without collapsing. The vision expands. Suddenly, you started seeing beyond survival, beyond just getting through the week. You began imagining impact, purpose, legacy, not in a prideful way, but in a responsible way. You realized your life is not just about you. It's about what flows through you. The resistance increases. And just when you started gaining clarity, resistance intensified. Doubt whispered louder. Old temptations resurfaced. Unexpected challenges appeared. But resistance does not mean retreat. It means you're moving. The greater the assignment, the stronger the opposition. The identity shift. You are no longer who you were, even if your environment hasn't caught up, even if people still see the old version of you. Internally, something has shifted. You think differently, you respond differently, you value differently. And once identity shifts, destiny follows. The courage to stand alone. There will be rooms where you feel out of place, spaces where your silence speaks louder than noise, moments where choosing integrity costs you comfort. Stand anyway. Being set apart means you won't always blend in. But blending in was never your assignment. The inner discipline. This moment requires discipline. Guarding your thoughts. Protecting your peace. Choosing growth over ego. You cannot step into a higher calling with lower habits. The private decisions you make daily are shaping the public impact you will eventually have. The reminder. You were not overlooked. You were observed. You were not delayed. You were developed. You were not rejected. You were redirected. And everything that felt like an ending was making room for this beginning, the quiet confidence. There is a new calm within you now. Not loud, not boastful. Just steady. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth to anyone. You understand that what is meant for you will not require performance. That confidence didn't come from applause. It came from surviving what was meant to break you. The discernment upgrade. You can now see intentions before words are even finished. You notice patterns quickly. You no longer ignore red flags just to keep the peace. That sensitivity you once tried to silence has become your strength. Discernment is protection, and protection is necessary when purpose is involved. The death of the old you. There are parts of you that cannot go forward. Old fears, old habits, old attachments. You may feel grief over who you used to be. But growth always requires release. The old version of you carried you through survival. The new version of you is built for impact. And you cannot carry both at the same time. The pressure to conform. There will always be voices telling you to be realistic, to calm down, to fit in, to think smaller. Because your boldness makes others uncomfortable. Your depth challenges shallow thinking. Your conviction exposes compromise. But you were not created to dilute your essence, just to make others comfortable. The assignment on your life. There is something specific about you. Your experiences, your perspective, your resilience. No one else has walked your exact path. No one else has endured your exact battles. That uniqueness is not random. It is preparation for an assignment only you can fulfill. The misunderstood journey. People will misinterpret your distance as arrogance. They will mistake your boundaries for coldness. They will misunderstand your focus as pride. Let them. Not everyone is meant to understand your evolution. Some people were only meant to witness the earlier chapters. The inner war. Even now, there is a battle inside you. Comfort versus calling. Fear versus faith. Familiar versus unknown. This internal war is proof that growth is happening. Stagnant people don't wrestle with transformation. They settle, but you were never designed to settle. The evidence in your survival. Look at everything you survived. Moments that felt unbearable. Seasons that drained you. Situations that should have ended you. Yet here you are. Breathing, learning, growing. That survival is evidence that you are supported in ways you cannot always see. The clarity after chaos. Chaos often precedes clarity. When everything felt uncertain, you were being repositioned. When you felt lost, you were being redirected. When plans failed, something better was being arranged beyond your sight. Clarity is earned through endurance. And you endured. The strength in restraint. Not every battle requires your reaction. Not every insult deserves your response. Not every opportunity deserves your energy. Maturity is knowing when to move and when to remain still. You are learning to operate with intention, not emotion. And that shift changes everything. The patience of purpose. Purpose is not rushed. It unfolds. You may feel eager to step into more, to accelerate, to arrive. But timing matters. If you step into certain doors too early, you would not have been ready to sustain them. Preparation protects you from premature exposure. The unshakable core. There is something within you that refuses to break. Even when you doubt yourself. Even when you feel tired. Even when you feel unseen. That core remains steady. That is your foundation. And foundations are built deep, not visible on the surface. The realization. You are not waiting for the moment. You are in it. Every decision you make now is shaping what comes next. Every boundary you enforce strengthens your future. Every act of courage moves you forward. This is not a rehearsal. This is alignment in motion, the responsibility of awareness. Now that you see more, you cannot pretend you don't. Awareness changes everything. You can no longer participate in conversations that drain your spirit. You can no longer entertain habits that shrink your potential. With awareness comes responsibility. And responsibility separates those who are curious from those who are truly called. The upgrade in standards. You don't tolerate what you used to. Not because you've become harsh, but because you've grown. Your standards have shifted. Your tolerance for chaos has decreased. Your desire for peace has increased. Growth will always cost you access to certain spaces. And that is a price worth paying. The echo of your past. Sometimes the past tries to call you back. Old patterns whisper familiar comfort. Old relationships try to reopen doors that were closed for a reason. But you are not who you were. What once tempted you now reveals its limitations. And going backward would feel heavier than moving forward. The expansion of vision. You are beginning to see beyond immediate gratification. Beyond short-term wins. You are thinking generationally, intentionally, eternally. Your decisions are no longer impulsive. They are strategic. Because you understand now that impact requires foresight. The sacred separation. Some separations were not accidents. They were answers. Prayers you once whispered are being fulfilled through distance. Protection sometimes looks like removal. And what left your life may have saved your future. Trust that what remains is aligned. The growth no one applauded. There were milestones no one celebrated. Habits you broke quietly. Boundaries you set privately. Tears you wiped away without telling a soul. Transformation often happens in hidden places. But hidden growth is the strongest growth. Because it is rooted in sincerity, not attention. The power of self-control. You are learning that power is not loud. It is controlled. It is knowing you could react, but choosing not to. It is having the ability to chase revenge, but choosing peace. It is having the opportunity to compromise, but choosing integrity. Self-control is strength in its purest form. The refinement of character. Your character is being shaped more than your circumstances. Because circumstances change, but character sustains. You are being molded into someone who can handle influence without corruption. Someone who can handle success without arrogance. Someone who can handle criticism without collapse. The courage to be misunderstood. You will not always be explained. And that is okay. You do not need universal approval to walk in alignment. Being misunderstood is sometimes the cost of being authentic. And authenticity is non-negotiable at this level. The energy shift. People feel something different about you now. They may not be able to articulate it, but they sense it. It is not superiority. It is clarity. It is the energy of someone who knows they cannot afford to waste their life. The discipline of focus. Distractions have become more obvious. You see how easily time can be consumed by meaningless pursuits. You guard your attention more carefully now. Because attention is currency, and you are investing it wisely. The endurance factor. Many start the journey. Few endure it. You are still here. Still growing, still refining, still believing. Endurance is rare, and rarity is valuable. The inner alignment. When your actions begin matching your values, peace follows. You are no longer living divided. You are integrating what you believe with how you move. That alignment brings stability, and stability builds confidence. The awareness of influence. Whether you realize it or not, someone is watching your journey. Someone is learning from how you handle pressure. Someone is gaining courage from your quiet resilience. Your life speaks even when you don't. And that influence carries weight. The moment before breakthrough. There is often a quiet pause before a shift. A stillness. A feeling that something is about to change. You may be standing in that pause right now. Do not rush it. Because the pause is part of the process, the stretching season. Growth will stretch you beyond your comfort. It will demand conversations you've been avoiding. It will require decisions that feel risky. It will ask you to trust when you cannot see the full picture. Stretching feels uncomfortable because it expands capacity. And capacity determines how much responsibility you can carry. The mirror moment. There comes a time when you can no longer blame the past. You face yourself, your habits, your excuses, your patterns. Not with shame, but with honesty. Because ownership is power. And the moment you take full responsibility for your life, everything begins to shift. The strength of boundaries. You used to feel guilty for saying no, for choosing yourself, for protecting your time. Now you understand that boundaries are not walls. They are gates. And not everyone deserves access to your energy. Guarding your peace is not selfish, it is wise. The refinement of speech. You are learning to speak less, but mean more. Your words carry weight now. You do not waste them in arguments that lead nowhere. You do not offer explanations to those committed to misunderstanding you. Silence has become strategic. And strategy is necessary when purpose is involved. The detachment phase. You are no longer emotionally attached to outcomes the way you once were. You do your part. You move with integrity. You release the rest. That detachment is not indifference. It is trust. And trust frees you from anxiety. The confidence without noise. You don't need to announce your moves. You don't need to broadcast your growth. You are comfortable building quietly. Because you understand that foundations are laid underground. And when the structure rises, it will speak for itself. The resistance within. Sometimes the greatest resistance isn't external. It's internal. Old insecurities trying to resurface. Old fears attempting to regain control. But you are more aware now. You recognize those thoughts as echoes of who you used to be. And you refuse to let old voices dictate a new season. The focus on character. You care more about who you are becoming than what you are acquiring. Status no longer impresses you. Depth does. Integrity does. Consistency does. Because you understand that success without character collapses. The narrow path. The path ahead may feel narrow. Not everyone will walk it with you. Not everyone will understand it. But narrow does not mean lonely. It means intentional. An intentional path leads to meaningful destinations. The weight of vision. When you carry vision, you carry responsibility. You cannot afford reckless decisions. You cannot afford temporary distractions. You see further now. And seeing further requires thinking deeper. Vision demands maturity. The discipline of patience. You are learning to wait without anxiety. To prepare without rushing. To grow without comparing. Patience is not passivity. It is controlled strength. And controlled strength lasts longer than impulsive ambition. The separation from noise. The more you grow, the more noise becomes unbearable. Gossip feels draining. Drama feels childish. Negativity feels heavy. You crave substance. You crave truth. You crave environments that challenge you to rise. The courage to walk alone. There will be seasons when your circle shrinks, when invitations decrease, when you feel unseen. Do not interpret that as failure. Sometimes isolation is incubation. And incubation produces strength you cannot build in crowds. The quiet assurance. Deep inside, there is an assurance forming. Not arrogance, not pride, but certainty. A knowing that you are not wandering. You are becoming. And becoming is a process that cannot be rushed. The edge of transition. You may feel like you're standing on the edge of something new. Not fully in the old. Not fully in the new. That in-between space can feel uncomfortable. But it is sacred. Because transitions redefine identity. And identity shapes destiny, the tension of becoming. Becoming is not glamorous. It is tension. It is waking up some days unsure, yet still choosing to move forward. It is carrying vision in one hand and uncertainty in the other. But tension is a sign that transformation is active. And transformation means you are not stagnant. The audit of your circle. You are starting to evaluate who truly aligns with your direction. Not out of judgment, but out of wisdom. Some people are seasonal. Some are distractions disguised as connections. And some are assignments you were meant to outgrow. Clarity in relationships is part of elevation. The breaking of approval addiction. There was a time when you needed validation. Applause gave you confidence. Agreement gave you comfort. But now you understand something deeper. If your confidence depends on approval, it can be controlled. And you were never meant to be controlled by opinions. The strength of solitude. Solitude no longer scares you. It strengthens you. In quiet moments you reflect. You realign. You refine your intentions. Solitude is where your mind clears and your spirit recalibrates. And recalibration prevents misdirection. The upgrade in vision. Your goals are no longer surface level. You are thinking beyond money, beyond image, beyond temporary success. You are thinking about impact. about influence, about legacy that reflects integrity. The death of comparison. Comparison once drained your confidence. You measured your timeline against others. You questioned your pace. Now you understand that comparison is a trap. Your journey is custom designed, and custom path cannot be measured by someone else's milestones. The responsibility of influence. As you grow, your presence carries weight. Your words influence. Your actions teach. Whether you realize it or not, someone is learning from how you handle adversity. That awareness makes you move more carefully, because influence should be handled with humility. The test of humility. Growth can inflate ego if you're not careful. You may notice your awareness increasing, your discernment sharpening, your discipline strengthening. But humility must grow alongside wisdom, because wisdom without humility becomes pride, and pride distorts purpose. The expansion of capacity. You are capable of more than you used to believe. More discipline, more patience, more resilience. The challenges you once avoided, you now confront, because your capacity has expanded. An expanded capacity is proof of preparation. The pressure to compromise. There will be opportunities that look good on the surface. Shortcuts, quick wins, temporary advantages. But not every opportunity is aligned. And compromise may offer speed, but it steals stability. You are learning to choose alignment over acceleration. The emotional mastery. You feel deeply, but you are no longer controlled by emotion. You process. You pause. You respond instead of react. Emotional maturity is a silent power, and silent power cannot be easily shaken. The call to higher standards. The higher you rise, the higher the standards become. In thought, in action, in speech. You cannot carry old habits into new levels. Elevation requires refinement, and refinement is ongoing. The moment of decision. Every day you wake up, you choose to grow or to retreat, to confront or to avoid, to believe or to doubt. Small decisions compound, and compounded decisions shape destiny. The awareness of time. You are becoming more aware of time, how quickly it passes, how easily it can be wasted. You no longer want to drift through life. You want intention. You want meaning. You want alignment with what truly matters. The shift from survival to purpose. You are no longer just trying to survive. You are building. You are preparing. You are positioning yourself for something greater. Survival taught you resilience, but purpose demands strategy, and you are learning to move strategically. The internal confirmation. There is a confirmation within you that cannot be silenced. Even when doubt whispers, even when fear rises, even when circumstances seem uncertain, that inner confirmation remains steady. It reminds you that you are not randomly here. You were set apart for a reason, and reasons unfold in seasons. If you made it this far, this is not coincidence. Something inside you is awake. Something inside you refuses to go back to who you used to be. This is your moment to stop doubting and start stepping forward. No more shrinking. No more playing small. No more silencing the calling that has been growing inside you for years. If you feel that fire in your spirit, prove it to yourself. Like this video as a declaration that you are done settling. Comment, "I was set apart," as a bold statement of who you are becoming. And subscribe to Return to Awakening if you are ready to walk this path with strength, discipline, and purpose. You were not built to blend in. You were built to rise.